Hi ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I know, another video so quickly, but I think this is important. When I did the Bundy Ranch thing, I did a series, because it was an ongoing situation, as well as the Boston bombing, and this is going to be similar. And so I hope you'll bear with me. YouTube has restricted my YouTube videos to 15 minutes. Which was kind of interesting considering the fact I've done hour-and-a-half videos before. But maybe this is a good thing, a number of small videos so that you get a chance to view them in quick time and then take the appropriate action. Now, this thing with Ebola is becoming more and more important. And although it's been that way all along, I wanted to get some basic information before I started doing this. Now, as you know, at least those who have been on my channel for a while, I was trained in chemical, biological, radiological warfare when I was in the Army. All troops are. Officers get a little bit more. But I was also a nuclear chemical accident incident control officer, so I also knew that side as well. And I'll just say this, I was a pre-med student at one time. I was an EMT as well. I've had a lot of medical experience, but I'm not qualified, of course, to be a doctor, a virologist, or any of those types of things, a medical doctor. But the practical aspects, certainly from a military standpoint, I do understand. And so I've been looking at this Ebola thing thinking, what's really going on here? I was aware of the 70 strain and the fact that this current strain is not like it in a lot of ways. And I'm going to decline that. That's actually the person that I'm interviewing here to help me with this, and I'll just jump ahead to that. I've contacted a medical doctor who is in a major healthcare facility in the United States to ask him some specific questions. And of course he can't come on the video because there's the public relations thing. Everybody's trying to keep a lid on this thing about what's going on. But I'm prepared now to start an interview process with him. I won't have him come on with his voice or his face, but I will relay the information to you so that you will know what a professional in the field is saying at this point in time. Let me give you a little background on what I feel is the situation. As I said, this is not really like the 70 strain that we saw. This is something much more dangerous. It has the indications of being a weaponized disease, weaponized virus. And I can give you the specifics on that, but it's primarily because of who it's apparently targeting the most, and I'm going to refrain from defining that at this point because, like a lot of other things, that could change. Number two, where it was released, as I've already explained. Number three, the incubation period, which has changed drastically for this virus, and the onset of symptoms when you're certainly contagious, but there are some indications you may be contagious before that occurs. There are a whole lot of things here that indicate that this virus has been manipulated, and I'm not the only one to believe that. The doctor that I'm going to have on here, while he hasn't talked about that, he is going to give me information from a top virologist from the United States on the issue. Now, I want to look at this from a military standpoint. One of the things that this doctor told me, and of course it was obvious with the Dallas outbreak, with the patient there and the two nurses that have come down with the disease here in the U.S., that the hospitals here in the United States are by and large incapable of handling this. This needs a level 4 biological containment treatment type program. Very few hospitals are at that level. Probably just a handful. Some military hospitals, of course, are, but not even all of them. What does that mean? That means that because our president, and I use that term loosely, and the powers that be have been more concerned with politically correct issues than they have of protecting our people. And leaving the borders open on the south, deliberately opening them up, allowing people to continue to fly from infected countries. And the whole, it's interesting the timing on this, the whole debacle of Obamacare that has really crippled, in a lot of ways, medical responsibilities, hampered it at the very least. So you see these concentration of events that pinpoint the timing on this thing shows that possibly there's more behind the scenes than it appears. Now, that sounds like conspiracy theory again, but again, you look at this from my point of view, where I've been trained in military thought and tactics, strategies, politics, etc. And I see this as a very serious situation that has been released in Africa, but has already entered the U.S. And like in Africa, I mean, we have a very good medical system, but we do not have the capability to handle 1 or 2 patients at this level 4 level right now, much less hundreds in these hospitals. What am I saying? I'm saying that if I were an enemy that wanted to make an attack on this country, and I wanted to keep the infrastructure in place, I've got the neutron bomb, I've got false flags of domestic, going after domestic groups, that type of thing, blaming, like we've said before, Christians, vets, and all that for false flags, and then the government moving on them, or mass population reduction through nuclear war would be a little bit difficult because of the destructive force on the infrastructure of the country. Isn't that terrible that our enemies would worry, anybody would worry more about the infrastructure than the lives of individuals? Oh, man, we're totally upside down. Well, I diverge a little bit. The point is here that with a biological attack, you leave the infrastructure in place and you take out the people. And I think that's what this could very well be. We've known that there would be an attack on humanity, either by huge wars going nuclear, biological, chemical, whatever, or a combination of those. But the biological one can be manipulated to the point where it takes out a certain genome in particular. That's not to say that anybody outside that genome is immune to it. It just means that the effects might be lessened, along those lines. It's a little late, but I felt like I should get this out because I want you to know what's coming here. I am going to be interviewing this doctor on a regular basis to find out what's going on. He has already informed me that the hospitals know that the protocols that need to be put in place are incapable of being accomplished in most of our healthcare facilities. They just can't do it. And that's just on a small level, 3, 4, 5 patients maybe. That alone would overwhelm the system, but hundreds, of course, would be even worse. So with that information, I thought we should go forward and start seeing, what is happening here and what we need to be aware of, because the government is not going to tell you, at least not this stage of the game, not until they're ready to take whatever action that they deem necessary to suppress the population as well, because that's what governments do these days throughout history. And this is a perfect, as Rahm Emanuel said, we can't let any catastrophe go to waste, and especially this one. So where am I going with this? I have no definitive information right now about whether this virus is weaponized or not, but the surface information lends credence to that concept, to that estimate of the situation. I do suspect that because the CDC has patented the Ebola virus and more than likely a vaccine, that this could be not just a money-making thing. A lot of people are saying, well, they will stand to make millions of dollars from this. I don't think that's the end game for the powers that be that really control the system. We know about the Georgia Guidestones. We know about the white papers of all these elitist individuals. We know about the Project for a New American Century and what they envision building America's defenses, so to speak, and they want to do that by, of course, causing havoc, bring order out of chaos. So I want to go over that with you on this, and that's the opening information I wanted to give you. The fact of the matter is that, as I've talked to this doctor already, the protocols that are necessary for the Ebola virus are unmanageable even in the American healthcare system as it sits right now. There's no way they can take care of more than a handful of patients at level 4. Okay? So we are in dire circumstances already. Now, the other part of that is if even if they got up to speed and were able to do that, the costs associated with that, especially under Obamacare, would be so catastrophic and so huge that resources would dwindle quickly. That's the indication at this point. Okay, let me check my notes here from him and just see if there's anything that I've missed on this opening video here about this, just to see what we've got. I'm going to state a few things that he said here. He did say that there are very difficult protocols, as I've told you, trying to establish them. It's almost like going on to Chernobyl after the nuke accident in 1986. That's what he compares this to as far as the protocols that need to be in place. He does say that the government should have banned all incoming airline flights from the infected countries, and that was not just an oversight but a negligence. He did say that if we end up with multiple cities with Ebola hits, all hell could break loose. This could potentially take down our medical care facilities nationwide. He's not sure about the genetics of the virus. He is talking with the virologist, like I told you about, but he did say it's very virulent. I think we all know that. He says that the head of the CDC is a village idiot, and I thought that was pretty good. So he says again, most medical facilities would be stressed with just 2 or more patients. Could you imagine 100, 150, 200 patients coming infected all at once? It would be a total collapse of our whole system. Let me think if there's anything else here. He says that the medical people, both in the government and the private sector, are more concerned about PR and funding than they are about getting the truth out about this. Which is really important. And he also says that if the concern for the public relations and the political correctness continues, that there are doctors and professionals that are now talking about the necessity of coming out and speaking out if they need to. Let's see if that really happens. Okay, so I think I'll leave it there at this point. He did say, and as I already brought this up, there are 9 or 10 university medical centers nationwide that are equipped to handle a mass bacterial viral breakout, plus several military hospitals compounds, but nowhere near what is needed for a huge influx of infected people with a serious contagion. And he says he's amazed how ill-equipped they are, considering the amount of money research that we have pumped in over the last 30 years post-AIDS. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think this is just a natural breakout. I think this is a weaponized attack. I think this is the start of the Armageddon that the elite get from the Bible and other spiritual sources. They look at themselves as the Tet in the Hebrew terms. Tet is the number 9 letter. It means the instructor. It's the symbol for Satan. And I think they look at themselves as fulfilling that role. And of course, we've talked about Molech and the Bohemian Grove and all that. These people have no conscience, and they believe that ridding themselves of the masses of humanity is the right thing to do. This is serious, as I know you all know. Quick introduction. Please keep posted. We'll be following this pretty close.